What is up, YouTube? Your boy ChasmRift here, and today I got kind of a rant. I would have not liked to make this video, but I feel like I had to kind of do because people are wilding out here, and I feel like I should probably say something. It's probably gonna go into the void, but I just want to voice my opinions, voice how I feel about what's been happening, and yeah, this is kind of gonna be a video talking about like how eSports, specifically in FGC, seem to be getting soft. So, for those who don't understand, about a couple days ago, there was a famous player in the FGC, which is fighting game community for those who don't know, by the name of Low Tier God. And Low Tier God was playing Street Fighter V net play. You know, he was getting annoyed, and then he said some choice words. And then he went on to a person's Twitter account named Blastero and started talking about them and how they're transgender, but he doesn't consider them transgender because they still have, we'll just say, male genitalia. Trying to keep it PG because the rant is probably going to make up for all this. Okay, so this happens, and people in the community are outraged to the point where Mr. Low Tier God himself actually got banned from all the major tournaments indefinitely. We believe it's going to be for life, but it's indefinitely because they didn't give an actual time frame of how long his ban is going to be. So people in the community were like, yeah, he should be banned for this. Yeah. Fast forward to April 18th, we have some confirmation that this Blastero person was also caught using racial slurs, which is the N-word. It's the GA for those who are curious, and they were caught saying this numerous times, both on stream, on their social media platforms, and people have called them out for that. And in response to it, they actually have also been banned. So the same person who just got harassed for their identity has also been banned, but they only been banned until up to 2022. So yeah, both of these players have been banned because they have been exposed out into the community. And I kind of want to do a rant because there's a level of hypocrisy that is involved here. So for starters, we'll just talk about just the overall outcry by people in the communities. So when Low Tier God said what he said, a lot of people were really gunning for his head. They were saying some really nasty things about him, type of person he is, some choice words, and a lot of people seemed to be in unison that he was being a bad person and he should be punished for what he's done. On the other hand, for Blastero, a lot of people are kind of on edge, they're torn. Some believe that yes, they should be punished for what they said. Other people believe that, hey, they did isn't bad, they didn't hurt anybody, they weren't being offensive. But I want to bring up this ultimatum. I wanted this to kind of be, unbiased as I possibly could and not put my own personal beliefs into this. But I feel like this is the best example out there. So when it comes to the N-word, we'll actually just use the statement they bring up. They said, in quote in the tweets, I grew up being around NYC peeps / being at NYC. I visited my best friend every summer during high school, naturally being accustomed to the racial slur N-word. Starting today, I'll try my best to remove this word out of my vocabulary. Alright, so we're just gonna focus on that tweet. I want to bring up a hypothetical. Well, it's not really hypothetical, it's a real world example. So for myself, African American, I don't live in NYC, but I live in Chicago, so a northern major city. And for myself personally, I actually do not like the N-word. It's just that the way I was raised, when people in my family used it, it wasn't used as a term of endearment as rappers and wannabe thugs use it in their music. And it was not ever used really as a positive thing. It was really used to kind of be used as a word to call out people for being a degenerate or doing something that was really bad. So for myself growing up, I did not like the word. And it's just something that I grew up just not liking to hear. And then as I grew older, learning more about my history as an African American and a lot of things that went through, I learned to just dislike the word even more, to the point where I'm fine with black people saying it because it's kind of like, when you say the word bitch, if you say it to a girl, if you're a guy and you say it to a girl, a lot of people get mad about that. But when it's a girl saying it to another girl, it's a little bit different, if you catch my drift. So when you hear black people saying the word, I'm kind of fine with it. It's when people of different races want to say it, because for myself, personally, when I grew up, it was a word that was considered like a no-no word for other races, as well as, hey, just because it's a term of endearment by people of the rap community, it doesn't take away the centuries of, oppression, segregation, racism that the words originally brought with it. So that's personally how I feel about it. Now, here's an example for you. Let's say there are people out there who are transgender who were not offended by what Little Tear God said. What if many of them were like, look, I've been transgender for years. This is things I hear on a daily basis. There's something I got to deal with, thick skin, etc., yada, yada, yada. Let's just put that out there on the table. Just bear with me. It's all going to make sense. The reason I bring this up is because for people who are on Blast Arrow's side saying that they shouldn't be banned, a lot of them are saying like, oh, they use this word as a term of endearment. They're not using it in an offensive manner because the people they've been growing up around with. But there are people like myself and many other African Americans who don't feel that way. On the other hand, when it comes to Low Tier God and what he said, people are on the boat and bandwagon saying that he was being very offensive to people who are transgender, being homophobic and things of that nature. We're not thinking about or accounting for those who may not even be offended by it, or they just learn to, have thicker skin and be a bigger person than someone saying that. Now, for the record, I am not defending Low Tier God. In fact, I actually don't care for him. He's just another person in my eyes. It's just that when it comes to people defending one another, especially in the internet world, which is just a cesspool, there's a level of hypocrisy that goes with it. And then just the language within the TOs, I'm calling them out too. When it comes to the TOs, besides just the fan outcry, their language to all this is also very hypocritical. So we're going to be looking at DeBailey, CEO of CEO, basically the term and organizer for CEO. When it came to the Low Tier God situation, he said, in quote, 100% no longer welcome to any CEO gaming events. Once I figure out #CEO 2020's fate with COVID-19, I'll put out a formal statement with other TOs that will hopefully join in. Okay? That's the language that they use for addressing Low Tier God in this situation. When it comes to Blastero, I'm not really too familiar with this person, so I'm probably going to get their Twitter handle mixed up a lot in this video. Sorry. But for DeBailey, when it comes to this person, they said, as with these other TEOs, at CEO Gaming, we'll be following suit and will ask you not attend a CEO event until 2022. We'll be working together on a unified code of conduct for our events going forward and hope this all sets positive examples on how to treat other communities and members. Do you see the tone that was displayed here and the language used? It's 100% different. Low Tier God said something very offensive and should rightfully be punished for it, and they just outright put the ban hammer out there. I'm not just calling out just DeBailey, other TOs who also make their statements. They've also fellowship with this level of language. When it comes to Blastero, they're being a little bit more lighthearted with it, saying like, please do not attend our events. It's not like an actual full-on ban. It's saying we ask you not to attend. Basically, it's lingo for your banned, but they gave them an actual time of the ban. You're banned to 2022. Okay? So, somebody who says something that is considered offensive to a large group of people gets banned for life. Somebody says a word that is also considered to another large group of people is only given a 2-year ban. That is hypocritical on many levels. And this isn't just the first example we see stuff like this. This is why I said it's going to be a rant. We've always seen levels of hypocrisy, and this pisses me off, which is why I'm glad I actually did retire from the FGC, but not esports in general. But you do see this in esports a lot. When I went to EVO back in 2019, and after the first 3 days, they had a party. I actually knew where the party was at. I'm not going to say who told me, but people in the FGC told me like, hey, this is where a party is going to be happening. I didn't attend, primarily because I was only 20 years old. But we hear on Twitter later on that, hey, there are people doing some illegal things, trying to spike people's drinks, trying to take advantage of people. And we even heard a report of a guy who reached his hand into a girl's skirt and then a fight broke out. I have people who, on social media, and people IRL, who were livid about this news, and rightfully so, saying that they hope this person got knocked out, they hope that this person got ruined in a fight, they hope that this and that happened to them. And that's just how they felt. Fast forward a little bit later, people started coming out with horror stories about encounters with other people and just their experiences at these events. And one person in particular came out named Guilty, and they said in the tweet, taking ownership of my own actions is the first step. I think I've grown past a lot of my poor choices in a lot of ways, but even after forgiveness or exoneration, there's always that memory of past events. It's something to pay penance for, but I can't undo how others felt. What she's referring to is she actually sexually harassed female players at events, and female players on social media have come out and talked about it. Yet, when it comes to guilty, a lot of people try to defend her or try to say like, oh, you made mistakes, but it's okay. But when she was on the other foot and there was a guy who was sexually harassing a girl, there was a witch hunt for them. I'm not saying like, oh, let's absolve the person who reached into a girl's skirt at a party. I'm not saying that at all. But when it comes to people of a certain background, we are less likely to jump the gun with them. Because in no world should this be okay. In fact, people were wondering if she should even be banned. Guilty only got a temporary ban from the Capcom Pro Tour, and people were debating on if she should even be banned at all. How is it that sexual harassment of any level, of any kind, be abolished to a degree, or be kind of excused because it involves a woman sexually harassing another person? On top of that, there was a Smash player named Bochi who was caught on social media numerous times saying offensive things with the N-word, hard R, and talking about like how she likes to lynch people. And there are people who are in her corner saying like she makes mistakes and that we shouldn't be too hard on her, and this canceling thing is just a giant waste of time. How come when it's people of a certain gender, a certain background, a certain, even sometimes ethnicity, it's okay for us to pretend that, oh, they're not an issue? How is it that low tier God, what he said, as I don't agree with him by his standards, how is it that what he said was a bannable offense for life, but sexual harassment, blatant racism, using words to demean people, how are those not equally as bad as what he's did? Because all he did was look at this person's Twitter account, and let's be honest, all he did was say some insensitive slurs and got banned for life. But there's people who've done stuff equally as deplorable, if not worse, and they didn't get the ban hammer. I think my rant is just done, but basically I want you guys to think about that. I want people to stop white knighting. I want people to stop with this whole idea of that, like, oh, if we're going to beat equality, we're going to have to sometimes show favoritism to another gender. That's not the case. Here's my thing. If someone's doing something bad and we're banning people for life for those events, we should be consistently banning people. The only caveat is there are going to be some people out there who are like the Joe Schmoes who go to open invite tournaments like EVO. There are going to be people out there who may be racist, sexist, or a little bit of everything under the sun. They're going to be flying under the radar. I'm saying we're not going to be able to get those guys, but hopefully if they go to these events and they're caught doing something, they're properly, kicked out the venue and banned for life with an image of them. What I'm saying is for people who have a name in these communities, who are in esports teams and all that, they should be held to the same standard regardless of their race, regardless of the gender, regardless of anything. Let's be consistent with this type of stuff, people. There's no way in hell should sexual harassment be okay because a girl did it to another girl, but if it involves a guy, it's a totally different story. I know people got their politics and they got their biases, but when it comes to looking at it objectively, following code of conduct, and if people should be banned from events, we have to be consistent with this stuff. That's pretty much it. Let me know your opinions down below, guys. Other than that, I'm about to get out of here.